Man, I got a wild video to show you of a cruise ship being rescued by the Coast Guard. And wait till you see where they were stuck at. Plus, we got seasoned cruisers having their eyes open to maybe what's a hidden fee or just not a fee we hear about a lot. And guess what? They're not too happy. And people are saying Carnival owes me money. Carnival owes me money, and it begs the question, should Carnival pay up? Yeah, all that and more on today's episode of The Cruise Show.
All aboard! Your ship is leaving. Talking about everything going on in cruising. It's the Lido Loca time. It's the cruise show. It's the cruise show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. Welcome to The Cruise Show. I am your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. That was excessive. Cruising! Everything going on in cruising. It's for your face on a Tuesday the 27th of January, 2026. And welcome back. Are we all ready to be in the cut? Look, if you love cruising, if you want to be a part of this community, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's get into today's stories. The first one is about a cruise ship that was stranded in a very dangerous place. I just finished reading the book Endurance. That's a lie. I just finished listening to the book Endurance. That's a great debate. If you listen to an audiobook, is that the same thing as reading an audiobook? Does it depend on comprehension? I can tell you the whole story of the Endurance. I didn't read a page of it, but what a fantastic story. Like, I have a new zeal for life. I feel like I can overcome many things because of the stories of these heroic men that survived being stuck in ice in the Antarctic Sea. And that's exactly what happened to a modern day cruise ship, much like the ship Endurance back in 1915, where blocks of ice closed in on it and they were stuck with no radio and no way to reach out to anybody. The expedition cruise ship Scenic Eclipse 2 got themselves into the same situation where the ice closed in on them and they were unable to free themselves. Fortunately, they did have the ability to communicate. They reached out to the U.S. Coast Guard, and they sent out the United States Coast Guard cutter Polar Star, an icebreaker, to break the ice and to free this expedition cruise ship. Here's the video. I grabbed this off of the People website. This is fantastic looking. This is could you imagine being on that vessel and seeing the Coast Guard come and save the day? Yeah, they're just working their way toward the cruise ship. It's really neat to watch them. They break up the ice around the cruise ship. They make an area to relieve the pressure. That was a big word in the book Endurance, pressure. They relieve the pressure of the ice. They open up space in the water, and eventually, Scenic Explorer 2 can get out of there. But wow, what a story to tell, much less than the epic story of Endurance. I'm going to keep plugging the book because I do feel a whole new zeal about traveling and about the ability for man to overcome obstacles from that book. So if you listen to it on audio, Endurance, pick it up. The book was written in the 1950s, so the author still had the ability to talk to people that were actually involved in this. Good on the cruise ship for being freed from the ice. This makes me want to go on an Antarctic cruise too. So what do you think? Would you do it? Leave a comment below. I think I've come up with a name for 2026, at least for me, the year of simplicity. I continue on my health journey, and many of you have noticed, and I appreciate that. But one of the things that I'm doing daily to support my health journey is drinking a daily health drink. I'm talking about the sponsor of today's episode, AG1. AG1 is a daily health drink with 75 plus ingredients that replaces the need for a multivitamin, probiotics, and more. It's such a simple part of my daily routine. I get up, I take 1 scoop of my AG1 out of my container, I put it in my bottle with 8 ounces of cold water, shake vigorously, and then I drink it down. And it's got a wonderful taste of pineapple and vanilla. And excitingly, because I travel so much, there's also a travel version of AG1, so I don't have to break that morning routine. AG1 rigorously tested, NSF certified. They have a great policy where you can update or cancel your membership, provides immune support, energy support, gut health, and like I said, it helps with that nutrient gap. Try AG1 for yourself by going to drinkag1.com/La Lido Loca, or scan the QR code that is on the screen. You get free AG1 and AGZ travel packs, the D3 plus K2 vitamin, and the AG1 welcome kit when you subscribe. Big thanks to AG1 for sponsoring today's episode. All right, before we get to the seasoned cruisers that had a rude awakening about a somewhat hidden fee, let's talk some nautical cruise ship type stuff. At its core, cruising is about vessels and seamen and people of the sea doing things that's very nautical. And a lot of times we're just like eating at the buffet and gambling in the casino and watching the shows. But behind the scenes and up in the bridge, there's a whole nautical thing going on. So first, let's talk about shipbuilding. We have a keel laying ceremony going on. This is one of the parts of the shipbuilding process for Oceania's newest cruise ship, the Oceania Sonata. They've laid the keel, which, they cut the steel, then they lay the keel, and then eventually they float it out. There's a lot of these milestones that you click off along the way, and they're all surrounded with pomp and circumstance. Oceania Sonata set to debut in summer of 2027, luxury vessel. They had the ceremony over there at the Fincantieri shipyard, and they laid the keel. In keeping with the nautical theme, let's go from shipbuilding to a significant crossing. The Queen Mary II has made its first transit of the Panama Canal. Queen Mary II currently on a 106-day world voyage. And Panama Canal is one of those interesting things. I said it before I went there, and I say it coming back. It's a little bit boring, but it's fascinating at the same time. It's definitely something on the bucket list that should be crossed off. And there is an epic sense of adventure as you cross from the Atlantic Ocean into the Pacific Ocean through this canal that took many years to build, with people losing their lives. If you think about it, Panama Canal is essentially a shortcut. The whole reason that they built that thing is so that mariners would not have to traverse all the way to the southern tip of South America to get from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. And so it is a big deal. It is a big deal when any ship is able to make that transit for the first time. And so we raise a banner and we say congratulations to Queen Mary II. Hopefully you have a great rest of your world cruise, but it's really cool to see you transit the Panama Canal. Am I having way too much fanfare for the nautical stuff today? That's what happens when you get into a book. All of a sudden, you're taken to a different place. And then, okay, so we had the shipbuilding milestone. We had a historic crossing. Let's talk about honoring a historic career. There is a captain on Crystal Serenity that's hanging up his hat. He's going to be, retiring after 46 years at sea. This is Captain Berger J. Vorland. He has been with Crystal Cruises since 2003, so 23 years with Crystal. But this is one of those guys. The reason that we can have cruise vacations are that people get into the cruise captain business. Mariners, seafaring people, they decide, hey, we want to take to the sea. We want to, command these huge vessels. We want to learn all about sailing, and they make our vacations possible. So congratulations, Captain, for a career, and hopefully your retirement is swell. Now, can I take that, my mariner hat off, my nautical hat off, and get back into the stuff I really like, the drama? Let's talk about drama. Do you think that's why, I don't know if they named it this particularly, but a popular seasick medicine is Dramamine. So maybe those two things go hand in hand. Cruise drama and Dramamine. So if you do get drama sickness, maybe take your Dramamine right now. There was a couple that was sailing on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and they're fancy people. They're people in the highest upper echelon of Royal Caribbean cruising. What are they? They are Diamond Plus members, which I'm not sure where that falls in the tier ranking. I'm Diamond on Royal, and maybe there's a couple more steps to go. I could look it up, but somebody can tell me in the comments. Is Diamond Plus almost to the top? I don't think it's the top. I think it's almost to the top. This was posted in the Crown and Anchor Society on Facebook. This message says, not happy at all. We were charged a $15 cork fee to open and pour our own wine at my time dining. You would think, as Diamond Plus members, they could forgo this ridiculous charge. Well, they don't. And I think corkage fees is a fancy restaurant type fee. And a lot of people don't realize that a corkage fee exists when it comes to cruising. The cruise lines are very generous. Most of them, they allow you to bring 2 750 milliliter bottles of wine on board with you. And this is wine for you to consume. Now, the anticipation is that you will consume it from your cabin. And the thing is, when you go to a restaurant, they want you to buy wine off of the wine list. And so they don't want to lose out on money by you bringing your own wine and drinking it at the restaurant. And so this happens on land, this happens on sea. Restaurants will allow you to bring wine from your own collection to have with your dinner, but you're going to pay for that privilege. And that's called the corkage fee. If you go to a fine dining restaurant sometimes on land and you're bringing your bottle of wine where maybe they would have anticipated you spending $100, $150, $200 on a bottle of wine, their corkage fee may be $35, maybe $50, but essentially you're paying for somebody to open your wine. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the corkage fee, it is something in cruising. One thing that we always talk about is you can open your wine in your cabin, you can fill up a wine glass, and you can bring wine with you to dinner. And there's no corkage fee. So avoid the corkage fee. But I do think it's, I think it's funny that maybe that would be a good perk. Honestly, now that I'm looking at the complaint, maybe that is a valid complaint. How hard would it be to add a line item to the loyalty program saying, hey, if you ascend to a certain level of loyalty, no corkage fee? That's kind of reasonable. It's kind of reasonable, but there you go. Seasoned cruisers, they've ascended the mount of Royal Caribbean loyalty, and yet they were hit with a charge they were unawares of. Dun, 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 dun. A quick housekeeping. We're only a few days away from our next cruise, so no live shows tonight. We're getting ready to go on a cruise. It's only a 4-day cruise over the weekend, so hopefully when we get back from that cruise, we'll slide back into the live schedule. But I just wanted to put that out there. It's almost cruise day, baby. I'm so excited. Now let's talk about this idea. Carnival Cruise Line owes me money. Should Carnival Cruise Line pay up? What I'm talking about is a litany of complaints. And when I say litany, I only have 2 complaints. So maybe litany is a strong word. What's the official definition of litany? I'm talking about 2 complaints where people are saying Carnival owes me money. Should Carnival pay up? And it's all related. Back to the first story. It's all related to snow and ice. Over the last few days here in the United States, we've had Winter Storm Fern dropping snow and ice all over the country. I talked to my buddy Chuck from Nashville. They got hit with an ice storm. He's without power. He's without internet. It seems like it's a mess in a lot of places. Well, it caused some disruption in cruising. And one of those disruptions is it caused a delay on the return of the Carnival Pride to Baltimore. And because of that delay, people are upset. Now, the first people I want to talk about, God bless them, they're animal lovers. And so one of the things they have to do when they go cruising is they have to pay somebody to watch out for, or to look out for their fur babies. Is that the right vernacular, pet people? They had to pay a pet sitter, is what I'm trying to say. And they wanted compensation because of their return back to Baltimore being delayed. They feel like Carnival should pay them for the extra fees that they are going to incur for their pet sitter. This is the first time I've ever heard that. I've heard asking for money for a lot of things. It does open up an interesting question. Now, Carnival's not in charge of the nature of the weather. And by no fault of Carnival, they're unable to return to Baltimore because of the weather. And so obviously their biggest priority is keeping people safe. So they don't want to bring people back into unsafe conditions. And now, because they were so kind to keep people safe, people got their hand out saying, I need extra money for pet sitting. Maybe some people shouldn't cruise. Again, I think you have this thing, new cruisers, somebody needs to sit people down. The cruise lines probably should and say, hey, look, there's some things about cruising that just are wacky that you may not anticipate. And one of those things is when you decide to go on a cruise, you agree that sometimes things are going to not follow the plan. And when they don't follow the plan, you're not really entitled to anything. For the most part, I think people are learning this lesson the hard way. I guess there's 2 sides to the coin. If you don't ask, you're definitely not going to get anything. So the worst that you can do is ask and be told no. So, maybe the people were just sitting around in their cabin going, oh man, we got to give Janet another $25 to watch our, animals for the next couple days. We're out $50. What should we do? And they're, maybe let's just ask Carnival, see if they'll give us the $50. But what's the worst they can say is no. And well, they said no. They said no. But that's a good question. Should Carnival pay people for extending the pet fees? And if it goes for pets, if people are babysitting them kids, should Carnival pay out on the babysitting money? And then I guess if maybe somebody's sitting in your house So should they get extra money? I think it just opens a can of money. So I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment below. And then the other one I think is pretty interesting. There was a family on the Carnival Pride that had some children. Unfortunately, because of the weather, they had to close the top decks. They had to spend an extra day on a cruise, but they had to close down all of the outside activities like water slides and swimming pools and all that because the weather was inclement. It wasn't conducive for people playing outside in the water. And now there's a passenger on board that said, "Hey, look, my kid's super bored because they couldn't do anything outside. You need to pay me some money. Carnival, you owe me some money because you gave me an extra day of cruising with all of the things that go along with that, except we couldn't use the outside decks. My kid was bored, and now I want some money." I've heard some interesting discussions from philosophical type people talking about that the loss of boredom is one of the things that's crushing creativity and innovation in society. And I do remember times when I would just be on an 8-hour car ride, from somewhere when I was a kid back in the 70s, and there was nothing to do, man. Like you just the grind of the 8-hour drive. You had no control over the radio. You're just in the back seat. You don't really, hopefully you had a book. I used to get those things at Stuckey's, those invisible marker things. One of the favorite ways for me to pass time. But there were times where you would just be bored out of your mind, and if you couldn't overcome that boredom through your own imagination and creativity, you were miserable. I think it's an interesting idea, and I'm sure there's books about it. The loss of boredom has that stifled our creativity and our imagination and our ability to innovate in the world. And if so, should we force ourselves to be bored sometimes, which is a wild thing? I don't know. That's just a little thought, food for thought at the end of the show. What do you think? Does Carnival need to come off some money for the parents of the bored kid? Does Carnival owe them money? Should they pay? Look, thanks again to AG1 for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you guys for tracking along. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you dug the show. And now there's really nothing left to do but dance. Get up. Get up.